Can you give me your Hall of Fame? Because I told you I'm over the Hall of Fame when it comes to Barry Bonds. I don't care about the Hall of Fame anymore. I refuse to be emotionally triggered, even though I know that's one of my go-tos about the Hall of Fame. I want the Giants to build the statue for Barry Bonds so that us fans who really do care about him and the impact that he's had on this community, I want us to be able to have that ceremonial communal gathering spot where we can honor our guy. That's what I want. I want the Giants to just commission the statue and get this thing going.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. And I think it'll happen. It'll happen. But let's get into the Hall of Fame and what happened. Lubman, let's bring you in here because I know you love this stuff. Barry Bonds received 3 out of 16 votes.
So there was 16 votes.
16 votes.
They created a panel, and you're only allowed to vote for 3 people?
3 people.
I mean, this feels so arbitrary.
3 people.
Like, that's the other thing. Like, what if they're all, eligible? Why do I have to vote for just 3? That's number one. Number two, look who's on the panel. It's a bunch of Braves guys.
By the way, 650 is a Prius driver. I hate Prius drivers. Lubman, get in here.
So unnecessary.
They're terrible. Go ahead, Lubman.
Well, yeah, no, I just thought if you want me to kind of break down how the process works here, I think it's a completely stupid process how they do this, which they purposely set up to try and limit how many people get in.
Exactly.
And it's just like the whole time Bonds has kind of been in this deck stacked against him voting process, whether it was, the writer's ballot, which they knocked down from 15 to 10 years, which we all know that was done simply to get Bonds and Clemens off the ballot faster. And then you have this new process where, again, the way it's kind of created where each committee member gets 3 votes, and then Bonds and Clemens are kind of tied together where you can't vote for one without the other. So you're basically wasting 2 votes on them. So if a couple people are like, well, I'm not voting for Bonds or Clemens, well, then it's over. And it's just, there's too much politics, and it's a gross way, really, to do it.
Who was on the panel, Lubman? Who was on this
Greg
panel?
Maddux.
Let me pull it up here.
Greg Maddux, I know. Greg Maddux, Frank Thomas.
Mm-hmm. Jack Morris, Ryan Sandberg, Lee Smith, Frank Thomas, Alan Trammell were representing the players. Then you got some executives, a historian. Susan Slusser was a part of it as well. And, yeah, every other name I would give, no one's going to know. So,
And look, for one second, Frank Thomas, I have his Auburn card when he was in college. Do you know how skinny that dude was?
Tell James Kincaid that.
Why?
Because he's the biggest Barry Bonds hater of all time.
Why?
Go look at his Instagram page and you'll see why. Oh, I love you, Jimbo. I love you. But the drive-bys he has on Barry Bonds,
why?
It makes me want to unfriend him.
Because what Barry blew up?
He celebrates. He pops champagne whenever Barry Bonds doesn't get in the Hall of Fame.
He is very staunchly anti anyone that has been linked to steroids. He is fair across the board. In fairness to Jimbo, he thinks anyone that has been linked should not be in. That's his take.
So then while we're here then, okay, that's an interesting point of view. Then why is David Ortiz in the Hall of Fame? He was on the Mitchell Report.
Or how about Bud Selig, who pretty much let it all happen, washed his hands of it, and then inducted himself into the Hall of Fame. Remember when he made up his own award and gave it to himself before he retired?
1,000%. I mean, and then, again, I want you to Google this, my favorite segment of all time, Auburn, Frank Thomas.
Oh, I know.
And you look at the photo of him as a 21-year-old, because that's what everyone does with Bonds, and then they flash forward to him at 38, and you tell me the man at 38 who Frank Thomas was is the same guy that he was when he was 21 at Auburn.
Well,
get out of here.
You look at Frank Thomas when he was 21, because I've seen these photos.
Yeah.
And you look at Frank Thomas via satellite, where Rafael Palmeiro was on Capitol Hill trying to explain himself that he didn't do steroids. And Frank Thomas couldn't make it in for whatever reason it was. And he was via satellite, looking like the Incredible Hulk.
Yes.
Via satellite.
Of course.
Satellite.
Yeah. Well, he is the Incredible Hulk. And again, I don't even care. I'm here for it. Look at Ivan Rodriguez.
Steroids.
I mean, we know.
He's in the Hall of Fame.
I mean, come on. We know this. I mean, Jose Canseco was right about everyone. He also pointed the finger at Ken Griffey Jr. I love Ken Griffey Jr. and Griffey should be in, right? But, again, we do this thing, and of course Bonds did steroids. It's part of the history of the game. You cannot write the history of the game without including these guys. Look, the greatest pitcher of all time. I just watched a Nolan Ryan doc. I watched a Derek Jeter doc. Do you know who one of the most prominent people being interviewed in? And I kind of said, I need the doc on him immediately.
Roger Clemens.
Roger Clemens, who looked like a kingpin. He also looked like he weighed 500 pounds.
No, dude.
Roger Clemens is one of the greatest pitchers the game has ever seen. I know he did steroids, and I don't even care. He needs to be in the Hall.
His cameos in the Jeter doc was unbelievable.
He was incredible. He says we had to give him the old Texas bow tie.
Yeah, the Texas bow tie.
Hit him from the neck up. I'm like, what?
Dude, he was amazing.
Oh, and like this is the other thing. Like Nolan Ryan, and I love Nolan Ryan. You can't tell me that Nolan Ryan was 100% All-American, pitching at 46 years old, throwing 96 miles an hour. Beating the crap roid rage style out of Robin Ventura.
Barry Bonds doesn't make the Hall of Fame. Fred McGriff finally does. We don't even say anything about Gary Sheffield.
Who should be in.
He was one of the most devastating hitters in the 90s.
Played 7 positions.
Yeah.
Okay.
For a million different teams.
A million different teams. Had 100 RBIs for all of them.
Yeah, I know.
Was amazing. One of the most feared right-handed hitters of his time.
Doesn't even get thought about.
Nope.
Jeff Kent. Doesn't even get thought about.
Nope. Well, and Jeff Kent's another interesting one because this is part of the you can't take the steroids out of the game. Jeff Kent is never Jeff Kent without batting in a lineup with Barry Bonds.
One of the greatest 5-year runs at second base we've ever seen.
Now, we just inducted, Derek Jeter, and we just gave this big slurpage on Derek Jeter. Go back and look at those 2000 Yankees. Steroid user. Aaron Boone, who got caught for steroids, is the manager of the Yankees.
I know.
He's the manager of the Yankees, and we celebrate one of the greatest Yankee moments of all time in baseball history, his 18th inning home run against the Boston Red Sox. Like, what are we doing? Like, the selective jurisprudence is just, it gives me a headache we try to buffer out certain people from the game.
And baseball's stupid, because the longer this lingers, the longer people are going to be outraged, and the longer people are going to think your sport is a joke. Just get Bonds in and just get it over with.
But I don't.
And nobody's talking about it anymore. But you get what I'm saying?
I do.
You get them in. The cloud is not hanging over you anymore, and you just move on.
But I don't need Bob Nightingale to tell me Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer. Yeah. I'm just pointing him out. I'm not trying to pick on him. I'm just saying, for example, I don't need baseball writers of America.
Craig Biggio in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah. But you know what? He was a Gold Glover at 3 different positions. He was an amazing player, 3,000 hits.
Come on, man.
But Bagwell's the worst one because at least Biggio feels like he did it clean. Bagwell clearly was on steroids.
It's a joke.
And couldn't even play defense.
Baldy 730. Let's get into the 49ers. Let's comment. Actually, we may be outraged about the 49ers.